ITSM7, and I am with Claire Agutter. Hi Claire.
Hi.
Director at Scopism, and involved in a number of initiatives in the industry at the moment, and have been for some time. Lots going on at the moment.
Definitely.
Busy year for you?
Yeah, more so than I expected, if I'm honest, Barclay.
Okay, let's just go through some of the things then. So the first thing really was the SIAM programme that we announced last year.
Yes.
How's that gone? Where are you with that now?
So we spent 2016 developing the SIAM Foundation body of knowledge, and we made that available as a free download, so that can be accessed via the Scopism website. That's been downloaded by many different countries, so we're seeing a lot of interest from the UK, as you would expect, but also from Australia, Japan, India, and Germany is quite high on the list as well. So the training was launched at the beginning of this year, and the training is now available in Polish, French, Japanese, German, English. So we're really, really pleased about that, and the feedback seems to be very good. So then this year was about saying, okay, we've done the foundation piece, now we need to develop the professional content, which is a bit more, I guess it's a bit less prescriptive than the foundation content. So foundation is very much about definitions, challenges, roles, and at professional level it's about, well, how do you actually build a SIAM model, and how do you cope with the fact that every organisation is different, you have different challenges, different timescales, scope, budget. So we've got a lot more in there about people's experience and stories and lessons,
Because I mean the foundation book I thought was really good. I thought it was well written and easy to read and clear and straightforward. Have you been able to keep that same approach and format with the second body of knowledge?
We've tried very much to. It's bigger, so I think it's about 40,000 words bigger than the foundation material, but what we've tried to do is separate out the content that will feed into the training and the examination schemes, which is almost perfect world SIAM, but then we've separated out the stories where people actually say, but then we were in this situation and this happened and this was how we responded. So I think it's still readable content and useful content, and we've tried not to be too academic. We've tried to reflect the fact that for most organisations it's not a greenfield environment when they start, and there will be challenges that they need to deal with.
And have you had interest in that from North America as well as the sort of British?
Yeah, North America is picking up. So at the moment there are training organisations in Canada delivering the SIAM Foundation, and I think there is a USA organisation due to be accredited very soon. But it does seem that the USA market is perhaps not quite as interested in SIAM as Europe is at the moment. But for me, I think that will change because everybody's dealing with suppliers now. You know, I run a fairly small training business and we deal with quite a complex network of suppliers, all of whom can impact each other's services. So if you multiply that up to large government organisations, there is a significant need there.
Okay, so that's gone on, that's progressed to the next stage. We're certainly in a boom time for frameworks, put it that way, and there's lots of things popping out and have been for the last couple of years, and obviously the next big one that you're involved in is Verism, which was launched or announced about a month ago.
Yeah.
Tell us just about the kind of high level background and approach for that. And I know that's kept you busy, but
It has. So the plan for this year was to develop SIAM Professional, and then the International Foundation for Digital Competencies, or IFDC, which is the organisation behind Verism, came to me maybe 5 months ago and asked me if I'd be interested in leading the project to pull that content together. And for me personally, it was an opportunity to fix everything that I've been grumbling about for the last 5 years. So it was something that I jumped at. So the drivers for Verism are the fact that digital transformation is posing such challenges for businesses now, that IT is no longer just a preserve of the IT department, it's up there in the boardroom. That was one of the drivers. And another driver is just the fact that this is a boom time for frameworks. So for service management professionals, you've got ITIL, DevOps, Lean, Agile, SIAM, something new comes out every week. And it's how do we make sense of all that? So what we've said with Verism is, let's go back to basics and stop thinking about products or frameworks. Let's think about what are we trying to achieve as a business? How is service management important to us? And then we can actually fit together the puzzle pieces. So it's not a case of we're trying to do ITIL or we're trying to do DevOps. It's saying, well, we've got ITIL and that's working fairly well, but maybe we need to be a bit more lean, or our sourcing approach is different, so we need elements of SIAM in there. So it's trying to pull all these pieces together, and I think that's a real challenge for service management professionals at the moment.
It is, and it's occupies certainly our members, on a daily basis, or certainly in terms of when they talk to us and look for guidance. How does it face off, or where does it sit with ITIL, for example, in its current form?
So what we've tried to say with Verism is that this is at a different level. So Verism is about thinking as an organisation, what you're trying to achieve, and putting in place what we've called service management principles. And the principles are the things that are of value to you as an organisation. So you might have an organisation that says, well, we value quality over speed. Another organisation might prefer speed, and they're less fussed about things being perfect. So we're saying if you can define these principles at a business level, not at the IT level, your product and service teams are then free to work using ITIL, using DevOps, as long as they're in line with those principles. So we're not saying you must do all of ITIL or all of DevOps. We're saying pick and choose the things that make sense for you and actually pull them together, because we want to stop talking about IT in the business, in the Verism world, because IT is part of the business. It's not a service provider and a customer. We all need to work together. The gentleman from Manchester Council this morning was talking about the fact that it wasn't an IT project. When they were moving their email system, it was a business project, and that's absolutely true. So we talk about capabilities in Verism. So your IT capability might encompass your IT department, some of it might be outsourced. It might also be that bit that we've been calling shadow IT, because if a business department's gone out and bought something, it's because they need it. It's not because they want to be willful or mischievous. That's part of the organisation's IT capability.
So, I know it's only been launched today, the book and so on, and I haven't had a chance to skim read it, but what would be the in terms of the content that's there, what are the kind of highlights of that? How does it, from what you described, which is, sensible in terms of bringing things together, what is it actually saying? Is it saying use that bit of ITIL, or is it saying how do you decide what you use from ITIL?
So the first Verism publication is an introductory publication, so it's starting to bring the ideas to the market. And what we found when we were discussing it with the author group is a lot of service management professionals were saying, yeah, we're doing that, or we're already thinking like that. So for us, the publication maybe won't be wildly surprising to people with an element of service management maturity, but we think it's very, very important for the next generation of service management professionals, because what we're talking about is this concept of a management mesh. And each organisation tailors its own management mesh, which will be unique to them, because the management mesh is made up of the resources that the organisation has, its environment, so things like what's its competition doing, what legislation applies to it, and then emerging technologies and management practices. So we need to look at what's out there, look at how things like AI, machine learning might affect what we're doing, and look at how SIAM, Lean, ITIL, Agile, DevOps affect what we're doing as well.
So is it a different target market to what you might traditionally have had in your, ITIL, COBIT sort of world? Is it more strategic, more management level?
I feel that Verism is relevant for anybody who is working with products and services. So for me, it's almost, certainly the entry-level certification is almost about, you know, I'm coming into my career, I'm starting to work in service management. Verism actually looks at, well, what do we mean when we say service management? What's the service culture? Why is all of this so important? So I think in terms of organisations starting to work with Verism, it needs that C-level support. And we've got a couple of organisations that we're talking to who are going to be early adopters for that. But for me, it's about embedding that service management thinking right through the organisation, because if we look at what we used to talk about was, you know, project teams, technical teams. We talk about product and service teams now. So it's not just IT people, but it is people who are either commissioning or helping to develop or being an expert on a digital service.
Sure. So, I mean, just finally, and sort of looking forward, what's the sort of roadmap for that in the next 6, 9, 12 months? What's happening with?
So the e-book is available now, and the hard copy book will be published in the middle of December. As of January 1st next year, the foundation training and certification is available. Then we begin the development of Verism Professional. So Verism Professional is due to be launched Q3 next year, and that is moving beyond the introductory level and actually equipping people with the skills to effect change in their organisation. So how do you build a management mesh? How do you select the practices that you need to work with? So much more practical and skills based. We hope it will lead to people leaving the course with something that they can use when they get back to work. And then finally, towards the end of next year, we've got Verism Leader coming, which will be about recognising when people have got to that level in their career and have done things. So we're still kind of working on the final shape of that, but I think there'll be a fairly small market for that, but it will be about recognising when people really have achieved something.
Okay. All right, well, we look forward to that and broadening out the scope of what's there in the industry. Thanks very much, Claire.
Thank you very much.